Okay, everybody. Well, thanks for joining us for this Builterra MMCD event. It's something we've been doing for a few years now. I think we haven't done it in about 2 years, but I think if you've joined us before, you'll see some updates. If you've never seen Builterra, then you might learn something new. If any of you guys need the career development points, reach out to Andrew from our team, and he will get you a certificate for this webinar, as we've been certified by PEO and OSET in the last few months. Okay, so if we get started with this introduction, it's a fairly large agenda. I have used the PowerPoint versus live just because it's much easier. I might go to live if I have time, and we can answer questions in the live web portal as well. All right, so starting off with the introduction to Builterra and our company AEC Solutions. This is what we started doing about 10 years ago. And so we've been implementing to over 40 public sector clients and about 120 organizations across Canada, all doing, in most cases, linear public sector work. So construction contract admin is our core competency and what the product was built for. The enhanced project management tools are really just to augment the system with some extra features that are required, for document control or task management, RFIs, submittals. So something maybe a contractor might be interested in using to communicate with the public sector owner. The mobile app is a purpose-built tool available on iOS and Android. It's very specifically used to gather data and photos. You do have access to PDFs that are on the document portal, and we do support more high precision antennas, we'll call it, using Bluetooth, using GNSS technology. So in this case, the Trimble Catalyst or the EOS Arrow. There's many other ones as well. As long as you can get a override on the location services of your phone, you can get sub-meter, even sub-decimeter accuracy, depending on your RTK subscription. Another interesting fact is we do serve the subsurface utility engineering industry quite extensively. So part of that is a Bluetooth connection with the Vivax Metrotech. So Builterra is kind of morphed from a construction management product into something that engineers can use in other business units. And coming from the CAD world, that's kind of what I wanted to do, is build a data collection and processing reporting tool for not just construction, but pre-construction, could be geotechnical or materials handling, or post-construction could be asset management, pipe and sewer, invert collection, just using forms. So it's used by a lot of different companies for a lot of different reasons. This is just a cross section of some of the cities here in Ontario. Now, the cities are actually buying Builterra and mandating it to the engineering community. So, for example, like City of Kingston, or any one of these really, they'll put it in the bids and tenders contract that the engineer has to use Builterra. And so all of this bid or tender building is done online by the engineer or the internal staff at the city. And all the inspection work can be done, again, by the external consultant or the internal staff. So really, it's a collaborative tool that allows the city to manage and hold the data. Then the consultants and contractors will access that data, depending on their role. So it's a really good solution for the cities to centralize everything about that project. Like I said, we have many consultants using this. The of note is we have large companies and small companies. So this isn't just for big projects. We have a lot of land development consultants using this for subdivision tendering and cost estimating, daily site visits, erosion control. So many different uses. Cambium geotechnical for all the borehole logging and compaction. So tons of different vertical markets here. We sort of landed on this term of digital pathway. It really is a process where we can go from CAD design all the way through to the as-built GIS. And so this was a vision we had, most of my career, and obviously we started building it about 10 years ago. And so each one of these aspects has been completed. Starting way back into Civil 3D, we can scrape data from the Civil 3D objects or even AutoCAD entities for quantity takeoffs and even cost estimating, because we're directly connected to the bid, historic bid unit pricing. So Design Connect is a tool we built for Civil 3D. It's available, and we're updating it in a big way this year. The bids and tenders aspect is something we did immediately. We saw that this was a big hole in the flow. In other words, getting away from Excel and Word and PDFs and going with a cloud is kind of where we want to be. And then ultimately connecting it with external systems like bids and tenders or any other eProcurement system. The inspection system, like I said, everything from pre-construction, construction, post-construction. We're even using it for OSIM bridge inspections, etc. So lots of different applications for the mobile app. Payment certificates, so a lot of work has gone into this, and you'll see some samples of that as well today. The as-built GIS, obviously we're doing some inspection of sewers and services, but ultimately we want to be able to move data all the way from design into a shape file or GIS system and even update drawings on the back end. So we're sort of working on all of these workflows with customers. All right, so that is really the system that you're going to see today. And now let's talk about MMCD. I think we've met with the association, and I think they like what they see around Builterra. And I think it fits in nicely with their standard, specifically because it's a provincial standard. It means people are using the same items. It allows for better cost estimating, standardization of the data. So from a database point of view, it's quite, has a lot of potential. And looking at the infrastructure data standards, the IDS, CAD Civil 3D standards, it really fits again with that standardization of the MMCD system. So because things are standardized, all the way from schedule of values to mobile forms, IDS, we can start looking at moving it into third-party systems. So eProcurement for bids and tenders. This is a Canadian product run by GHD Digital, and we integrate with that using just typical CSV files. So that's a big reason why public sector is also using this to streamline this whole system into eProcurement with a bid package that they can use, and then we will then absorb that back into Builterra for pricing. Let's take a look at this. So this is kind of where we see the Builterra, cloud sitting in the MMCD system. This is something that Andrew Walther developed a few years ago, and so we're sort of re-looking at this and seeing if we can implement some of our newer technology to help out with IDS and some of these processes. So that's, again, it's a nice fit, and I hope you, by the end of the session, can appreciate that it blends in quite nicely with the MMCD framework. Schedule of values. So this is, we looked at the MMCD site, and this is a sample from the website, a spreadsheet, of course. And so what we're trying to do is move standardized information into a catalog system. So we've already built this. And as you can see in this window here, this is kind of, under the hood, but this is the bid catalog for MMCD. And so all of the items that you would see in the spreadsheet are now inside this catalog. So you could start tomorrow by building out a tender with Builterra. The other thing is we looked at the mobile form system. We took maybe 3 or 4 forms from here, and we added them, we configured them here into Builterra, and you'll see examples of that today. So again, we're looking at other forms, other reports. I'll call them correspondence. We're looking at a correspondence concept of building out Word documents and then replacing the values with project-related attributes. So a bit of work to do here to get all of these letters done, but a lot of the field stuff is quite easy to configure. And you'll see an example of that today. We talked about IDS. So this is the Design Connect tool that we talked about. So this will sit inside Civil 3D as an extension. And what you see on the left-hand side is the tender for the project, the complete online tender. It's been synchronized here. And when you configure the layer names, the object types, what properties you need, it will go into the bid directly. And you can see an example of, say, some pipes here. Even the written tendering word is all configurable, just like a Civil 3D style, in other words. So all of this pricing comes from your organization's database. So if you have 2 years of pricing and you can uniquely identify those items, we can add those 2 years of pricing and then start doing some estimates based on maybe just item code or even design properties. And we'll talk about that in a second. This is the mapping scope here. Remember, we talked about the asset management. So we have done quite a bit of work to move data directly from Civil 3D into the mapping scope here. And so this is sort of a beta. We're working on it, and we'll certainly get back to you with another webinar to specifically talk about this connection. And the idea is moving data into the bid, into the mapping system, combining the two to get progress, visual progress, ultimately a closeout package for the city. So we're working towards having this all built. Well, it's pretty much all built. We're just testing parts of it now. All right, so the eProcurement, last but not least, like I said, all of these these tenders that we're producing with attached documents, PDFs basically, can be put into a zip file by clicking a button, and you can just send it off to the eProcurement people who are using bids and tenders. So bids and tenders is our Canadian counterpart for eProcurement, and they can absorb our information and put it directly into the form of tender without retyping it. Now, so that's our sort of intro. I'm moving quite a lot quickly because we have, it's a fairly big system, and I don't want to. I want to make sure you get all the information. The bid item contracts, standardizing it, like I said, through MMCD, we have a great opportunity to make sure every consultant in British Columbia, every owner, is using the same items with the same specs, and basically everybody's using the same thing. Here in Ontario, it's quite different. We have OPS. We have versions of OPS at every city, Ontario Provincial Standard, and but by and large, it is a bit of a Wild West, and you know, a granular A could not be compared with a granular A in another city. In other words, they don't see them as the same according to a database query. So you guys are lucky because we have preset item codes with descriptions, special notes to make it a little bit more interesting. And of course, you can add your own to the tender if it's a special item or something like that. So like I showed you before, we have everything all ready to go. Simply we could copy that into your account and be done. The second bit is we're a little different from, I think, most systems out there because we, as engineering types, we recognize that we have to treat this like a GIS. It can't just have item code, description, and units. We have to add things, for example, circular structure for basically manholes. Item code and description is fine, but we need sort of like the type of manhole. We need the diameter, the street name, the depth. These are things that are what we'll call enhanced pay item properties. And this allows us to scrape data from Civil 3D and do better cost estimating. So, you know, the cost of a pipe at depth would be different. Say a shallow depth is obviously cheaper than something deeper. So I'll show you an example of that. So under the cost estimates folder, we can have some elaborate estimating queries. And that's what this looks like. So if you do sewer structure with item code, it's strictly using item code. So it's not very good, especially if things change. So maybe the cost of something might be more expensive if there's hardly any of it versus a large amount of something would be cheaper by the unit. So we can even do queries on only compare quantities of equal or plus or minus value to that quantity. So there's some pretty elaborate estimating that can be done for the item, as well as you can do add project related attributes. So maybe project type, or maybe there's pricing differences that are unrelated to the item itself. So it has a fairly good way to query. And there's obviously some stuff up here where stale dates on data. You don't want to use data that's more than maybe 2 years old. 50 percentile right down the middle. Maybe you're doing a letter of credit and you want to use a 20%, or maybe you want to be conservative with your client and say it's 80%. So there's various things you can do to move that pricing. All right. Now, this is a good one. So the item code, it has to be exact match. Okay. What I prefer to see is something like this, where sewer structure with depth, it's not using item code at all. It's using diameter, exact match, and it's using a depth property of plus or minus 1 meter. So when we start typing in structures, it will look at the depth of that structure and then compare it with depth of other structures of similar nature within a meter. So that's kind of how we're doing it. And this is all configurable. The templates themselves are really the spreadsheet. This is the schedule of values that was shown initially. And we've built out a way to configure all of this and make sure it generates the spreadsheet properly. Okay. Building the bid package is very simple once everything's done on the back end. In other words, if you're a consultant or an internal staff member at the city, you simply go to the project and create bid, and it pops up this little pop-up, and you can immediately just type in what you need, click the create button, and you'll get basically an empty tender. From there, I'm missing a screen, it looks like. So from there, from the empty tender, you can edit the tender. So this is editing the tender. So I kind of skipped this step there. I might want to show you live how that's done. So the concept is all of those tables in the schedule of values are all set up here. And like we saw in the catalog, you can pick the storm sewer pipes And when you pick it, you get access to the MMCD catalog for just storm sewer pipes. So it's a filter system. You can search for information, search old tenders for information. There's all kinds of different ways to query this list, and then you can multi-select and drag it into your current project, and then simply update some lengths, maybe some depths, maybe change diameters and materials if need be, but basically, or class of pipe. So basically, this is your spreadsheet editor simulation. You can add special provisions and all kinds of allowances, etc. This is a very mature system, so we've pretty much dealt with all the different permutations of how this might be built. When you click on cost estimate in the same interface, if there's data, in this case, a 450 concrete at that depth, it will go back to the historic data and literally give you, in this case, a 50 percentile average price of this item, and then multiply it by 87, you get the extended price. And now currently in this table, it's $206,000. So if you want to look into this and check the numbers, you can click on details and it will show you all of the projects or all of the items that were actually met the criteria to give you that number. So you can actually go through and review that, and you can exclude items if you don't trust the number. Very high level. Finally, we have built a special format for MMCD, and you'll see that in a second. So this is a setup here. So it'll produce that spreadsheet that you see on the website. We also have a bids and tenders export, so you could give that to the procurement people. So that will zip up these items in CSVs, and they can use that. So ultimately, this is sort of the result of you'll have a cost estimate, you'll submit it to procurement, and then they will give you a file back. Bids and Tenders creates a file called bid analysis, and the bid analysis can be checked in to Builterra, and then you'll have the awarded pricing. This is exactly the same because I probably just copied it, but basically this award can be used for the next step, which is the progress daily reporting. So there's your MMCD items in the tender. And of course, this is what the old one looks like. And okay, I guess I should have checked that, but we'll go live and show you what the new one looks like. Okay, so for field inspection, this is using your cell phone or tablet. Depends on what you want to use. 90% of our customers use cell phones, larger cell phones, because it's easier to fit in your pocket, easier to take pictures. And the idea is to collect all kinds of information and then do something with it. So doing something with it could just be typically a report, or in some cases, if it's been merged with survey data, so in this case, a test hole hydrovac, you can merge it with a point file from survey and then actually do CAD drafting. So there's, because of our experience in CAD, we understand that precision is everything. So we can actually merge form data with point files to do this piece, and exporting to GIS, doing what we'll call meta reporting or very custom queries for Excel. And I mean, 3D model would be taking it to the limit, but since we have data, we can do something with it and build out models. Now, so the app was designed for people who, aren't used to using technology. We stayed away from the concept of a GIS data collection device, even though everything you're doing here is geospatially aware. Every photo, every piece of text has a lat long associated with it. So if you actually hooked up an antenna through Bluetooth, you'd get very good lot long. So we've stayed away from this app looking like, say, Esri field maps. Some people say, oh, we use it as field maps. Well, our customers, this Builterra system is very easy and it does nothing to do with GIS. So this is an easier solution in some cases. I'm a bit biased though. So the idea is you pick the account that your email is associated with. When you log in, you'll see all the projects that are available to you here. And once you pick the project, this is just basically it. You can pick on documents or tasks or forms. And in most cases, you'll immediately pick on the form. If you pick on documents, you'll see a list of folders that is based on your document repository. Tasks, you'll see anything assigned to you, or you can assign people tasks. You could add photos at any point when you pick the form. So this is just sort of a cross section of what you'll see if you pick those different buttons. The document concept is good for PDF. So a lot of people use Bluebeam. We're not trying to compete with Bluebeam, but we do have the ability to review. And I think markup is now available for PDF. And so you can easily put your, say, construction drawings into the Builterra document repository, or any contracts or anything else the field person might need, and they can just pick on the PDF if they need to review it. So let's do a field memo. We're kind of just starting off here with a basic sort of mobile function. So field memo is sort of almost like almost like a written observations report, photo report in some cases. So if we click on field memo, this is the forms we can do, lots of different types of forms. And these are all configured for your account. And these are forms that have been submitted in the past. They're what you call open forms. And you can close them if they've been approved or whatever, but in this case, they're open. And one of the things is about these open is if you have two people on site, they're not doing two field memos. They're doing one field memo, and they can both contribute to the same exact field memo. So it's sort of like a compilation of all the data and photos, because you don't want two sets of data by two people at the end of the day. It'd be nice if it's all one document. So we did that in response to a lot of the requests here in Toronto for road resurfacing. They have multiple people on multiple areas of the road, and it's just one single report. I think we're one of the only apps that does that as well. When you select one of these or hit the plus to create a brand new one, you'll get the location, you'll get the weather, all of that stuff. If you have Civil 3D, you can upload alignments to Builterra, and you'll actually get station and offset as well, which is a one-of-a-kind feature. If you select on the map feature, you'll see the red one is your current inspection, and the blue one is another inspection that's close by. So you can actually see other data in the map. So this is what we call a parent-child form. So you have a parent information with a subtable, in this case, multiple field notes. So you can simply select add field notes, and you have to think of these as small text messages. So if somebody can send a text message and attach a photo, they can use Builterra. It's as simple as that. So when you click on add field notes, write in some notes, and these are all configurable. You could have a lot of different notes with lookup lists, and then simply submit, and then it's done. So that observation's been essentially submitted to the server. You can attach photos, you can mark photos up, caption the photos, and then again, update the record or submit. In the end, you can get approval. So if maybe it's the end of the day and you want to close the report or mark it as reviewed. So the inspector can mark it as reviewed once they've viewed the PDF. So viewing the PDF actually renders a MMCD style PDF that we developed this week for this presentation. And so you can see that it's got all the look and feel of the current forms that are posted. And if you're a specific company, you might have a logo for your company here instead of just MMCD. So we can, tweak it if we have to. So the idea is these custom reports with configurable forms. Now that's in the field. If we look at in the office, the project managers can be sitting in the office and they can review all of this information in real time, including the owner. So if you have a consultant that's working on your behalf, their project manager could be sitting in the office and just literally watching the data flow in. This is sort of a preliminary look at, again, the form configurator, just as a reminder that all of this stuff can be configured and easily changed if we have to. All right. Here we go. So the inspection portal, if you look to the left here, you'll see, we went through bids. We're now onto inspections. Okay. Each one of these purple boxes is an inspection form that's available on the phone. And of course, you just select it and it'll filter the results. In this case, you can click any field memo you want and it'll tell you how many photos. The columns here have everything from lat long to time and date, who did so you can actually change the look and feel of this grid if you feel like it. So the field memos all come up in real time. So that means you're sitting in the office, you're reviewing this information. We do have a setting, if you're a consultant, you can do all of your inspection work and the form or the data cannot be seen until the field inspector approves it. And so therefore it holds back a little bit so they can have time to revise it if need be. All right. Of course, everything is in the map. Like I said, everything's geospatial. You're going to have hundreds of these field memos, possibly. For subsurface utility, hydrovac, you're going to have hundreds of those. You're going to have manhole, catch basin inverts. So for a typical project, tons of data points. That's what we're looking for. You can select on a point, review the pictures, and download the report immediately. The field notes here, this all can be edited after the fact if you have the rights to do that. So all of the data, including the photos, are posted to the site when they submit. So every time they hit submit, you're seeing a new photo come up. The standardized form from MMCD. So again, it's nice having that to go off so we can then do this reporting, and everybody who uses MMCD, their reports all look the same. So that's, again, beauty of the standard. The photo map is just sort of something I wanted to introduce. It's we mentioned that every photo is independently geospatially, located. So we built a system for viewers, and viewers, we have, if you're creating or editing data, then you pay for Builterra. If you're simply just downloading and viewing and approving, it's free to use. So this is a great system for somebody who just wants to view information. So if you go to photo map, this is everything's in a mapping system, of course, clustered photos you'll see here. And this looks like an OSIM bridge inspection account. So as you zoom in to the area, the photos start to decluster, kind of like a real estate site or an Airbnb site. As you keep zooming in, I can see that there's 7 photos right here. And when I select that, it's going to select one of those photos here. So, and then if you select on the report download, in this case, it built out a full bridge inspection report. This is the OSIM report we use in Ontario. So you have very quick access to historic data. That's kind of the point. So we've kind of gone through the general field inspection, what it looks like on the website. And so this is sort of where everything comes together. We can start connecting the inspection system with the contract items in the bid or the tender and start working on progress payments. So exactly the same idea. You're going to have a form. In this case, it'll be the daily progress report that you see right here. These are open forms like we talked about, so anybody can contribute to this while they're on site if they have the rights. The location, same thing as the field memo. I mean, daily reports, not so important. You could probably just sit in a site trailer and do it, but generally everything is geolocated. So the very first thing you'll notice is more than just one subtable. We have delays, equipment, labor, materials. You don't see that here, but there's many subtables part of this, including remarks, visitors on site, lots of things like that. So we could start adding labor and equipment one at a time. We have what you call a templating system. So if you're always on site and the project kind of has the same type of equipment and more or less the same type of people, you can build out these data collection templates. So if I was to pick on road crew, it will, I mean, I'm not a construction guy, believe it or not. So I just put in some items here, and you just tell it there was 2 dump trucks and they were here for 8 hours. There's one of these and for 8 hours. So you can kind of build out a list of equipment that's on site that day. And you can always do one at a time if you had to, but essentially it's really easy to add information. You can even add, you know, whether it was a working day or not. Was there a city engineer on site or not? So things like that. So some consultants will actually use it for standard remarks, which really speeds things up. So once you add all of the labor and equipment, you can go ahead and, again, just like the field notes, field memo, you can just add remarks, type in some information, add a photo, submit. So it's like 1, 2, 3, and you're done. It all goes into the single daily. And so you don't have to store it up to the end of the day and then work for half an hour at night trying to get your report done. Now here's where we can start really accelerating the progress payment system. So we awarded the bid back earlier, and now that we've awarded it, it's become available on the cell phone. So when I pick on the project and I pick on this thing called progress, this subtable has been configured to display the tender information or the bid submission. So if you pick on one of these roads items, you can select the bid. I think these are mixed, swapped. But anyway, you go ahead and select the tender, the awarded bid, and it will basically, it's just like going through the website. It will go through every subsection of that awarded tender, and you'll just keep drilling down until you get to what you want. And so in this case, we'll pick the excavation table. And I mean, this was set up as a linear, square, and cubic, so I'm not sure if that's standard, but you could maybe even forego that. But the idea is you'll pick on a subtable again, and then ultimately pick the item. So it's a little bit of a ways to get here, but that's just the way it was set up. So you can, when you review it, you can see this remove concrete barrier. 800 was in the contract right there, and 500's been built to date. So right away, you know kind of where you're at with the quantities. And so we're going to go ahead and add more quantity to that for this daily. So if you pick on the item, you can type in, say, we did another 250. And again, these field notes and other details can be all configured. So like street name might be a good one, or stationing. Lots of different things we can do. Of course, photos are available everywhere. View history is very important. If you have access to a written specification, so I know MMCD has a PDF that's locked down, but if in some cases you have a different spec document or something's been attached to this particular item, you'll see a word called view spec, and you can actually view the specification on the phone, just to review that information. So, but review history, if I pick on that one, it will give me all of my previous quantities, and basically it'll kind of show me what I've done in the past. In case you forget, maybe you did it in the morning and you've forgotten, came back in the afternoon. Okay, so you can get a history of that, type in some details. When you select on, there's a, if we go back real quick here, that view PDF report. So anytime along the way, you can view that PDF report and it renders the daily here. You notice a signature. You can upload your signature to do sign-offs. And of course, photos, everything's available. And if you like what you see, you can put it through what you call an approval workflow. And the contractor will get this through a link, maybe the project manager, the city. So you have mechanisms to actually capture approvals once this has been reviewed. So that's all from the cell phone. A very large system, by the way, so lots we can do. So back on the website, like I said, the project manager is looking at this information coming through. And of course, everything's available just the way it was on the field memo. Again, location, not such a big deal, but there it is. Labor, materials, progress. So these are all the tabs that are available in this particular report. Some cities that aren't standardized have different tabs. They have different things they're interested in. So depends on, you know, if this is all you need, then good. If you need extra, maybe you want to put your deficiencies into the daily, things like that. So lots of configuration to be used. You can see in the mapping system again what it looks like. Picking on them, you get access to the report and photos. The progress that you put in your phone appears here. And again, you can edit this information on the website if you have the rights. And when you download the report, this is generating it from the database. So you don't have to do any work on this. It's all done once you've submitted that data and approved it. So, and then you get the photos, all good to go. So that's where you want to be. If you're dragging and dropping photos into Word, please call me, because we need to get away from that. Change orders. We have also change order, basically, contemplated change orders. So I just put in the change order for now. Again, the tabs you can see are different for this particular form. And so if we go through this, of course, we can add photos anywhere, okay, for this change order. The schedule change was just a comment on the change order, and I've since added something called schedule impact. This is something we might want to track. In other words, this is going to, maybe it's days, 3 days or something. So that would be handy to have, see if there's any impact. The contract value change. The contract value, again, that sort of comes from the bid, so we'd have to do a little bit of programming maybe to grab that number. But ultimately, you could put in the change of this, the total of the change order. And where does it get it? It gets it from here. So in this case, it's the water main, the solar panel. So these are the things that were added to the change order. And you just put in the unit cost and it multiplies it. And if we want to look at the report for approval, that's what it looks like. So again, you could send that off to a contractor or a PM, and they could approve it. And then that's available back in the office when you want to do an actual change order in the progress payment. That's more formally done. Scheduled deficiencies, again, you're looking at more of a looping data table here with a value, okay? And the result is this. So we've, just in the last few days, actually, we developed these reports for the presentation. So it doesn't take long to build these reports out and offer them up for to the organization. So you get the look and feel. Everybody does the same look and feel for the whole province. Site diary, this is a little different. This is what we call a metadata report. So there's actually no inspection at all. It's basically a custom report. So when you add a new week 1, for example, it will actually go through the daily progress reports and take all of the items in every report and put it as part of a list. So you've literally got like a rundown list for that week for all of your progress. So it's really handy if you just want to know, give me all my stuff for the week in a report. So the FLRA, we just added that to the MMCD account because a lot of people use it. And so we kind of themed it. If the association wants to change it, we can change it. But that's sort of a typical one. And it's available on the site. So you just check, remember, you can just go through the mobile app and check the boxes that are applicable for the day and simply submit. Okay, so that's done. Now, again, progress payments is sort of the end, getting near the end of this presentation. When you click on progress payments, this bid here, awarded tender, is really the same as the awarded one up here, but now we show progress. And so every time there's an inspection done, these little gas gauges, as they call them, they move in real time. So a project manager can just simply look at this dashboard and right away they can see, oh, 115%, something's happening there, right? So they can see an overage. They can click on details and it goes directly to this page that shows all of the inspections. So in this case, daily report 5 and daily report 7. These are the quantities that were logged, and they can click on view if they want to. This is the actual editor here. It doesn't look much different, but basically it loaded the inspection editor. You see all the tabs up here, and you can look at the quantities, and you could put in negative quantities if you want, or simply edit the number if you have the rights to do so. So, and any changes to this directly affects the progress payment. When you click into the progress payment system, you'll have every month that you create here, like a start and end date, the inspections that contributed to it. So you get all of your period quantities, all of your holdbacks, releases, individual holdbacks, releases, and change orders, which I didn't really talk about, are here. So you would add a formal change order here to be included into the progress payment. So this is, again, drilling through the system. You can see right away what the values are of this period for this particular section. Okay, so it's really great access to all of the data. Okay, so if you click on the export to Excel right there, you get a spreadsheet, right? And that's just a generic looking one here, but this is a summary cover page. And then each tab has, in this case, we configured it. So each road has its own list. And so there's McLean Laneway, and then it highlights any items that were identified in this particular PC. So this is just a generic one that we give to people. And we customize these all the time for other people. Getting close to the end. Project management. So we talked about some of the add-ons that we've put into Builterra to sort of centralize the data. One of them was making the experience good for users. So when you log in with your email, you only see projects that are applicable to you. And then your rights to edit it are all preset, depending on your role on the project. So really easy. These are just maps that come up as a generic. You can actually have it go into your inspection data and kind of show nice photos there if you want. Of course, on the top, you see a bunch of options here, map. So all of your projects in the area are being in the map. You can simply edit by opening. Activity, you can watch all the activity from your staff for the entire account. Approvals is really good. So anything that you've been requested to approve will come up here, and you can just simply hit the approve button or download the report. All right. When you select on the project, again, you get a little dashboard. We're looking at beefing these things up this year. But essentially, again, you're getting user activities simply on this project. Overall, you're getting activity for tasks and inspections, and access to documents here. So you can create subfolders and your own folders. The bids, inspections, and payments are really just the synchronization of all of these other things. So some people prefer to use the document system to grab those spreadsheets. Okay. Ad hoc reporting for just creating lists from data. Task management. This is quite popular. Some cities are using it for utility coordination. All kinds of uses for task management. In this case, it looks like geotechnical use. RFIs for contractors. So we set an RFI manager for the account, or you can, and when the contractor has questions, it goes to one person, and then they can send it to who should respond. Submittals, same thing. Even meetings can be booked through here with agendas and action items. Transmittals are really just zip files posted through email, a link through email. And of course, you saw the mapping thing, which is we will present some other time. We are building out sort of testing OpenAI and other models right now. So the support system is using OpenAI, and so every question you can type into the support bot. If you take a look at that. So this support bot here is you just click on Builterra bot, and you can ask it anything, and it'll tell you how to do something. It's read all of our help documents and videos. The other thing that we're looking at, and we're piloting it with a couple of customers, is called Project AI. And so when you pick on this Builterra bot, and you can just type in a question. This is the question, any recent problems? And it'll go through all of your dailies and look for something negative, I suppose. And I took this one is actually a real comment about somebody being frustrated. And I took that one and cut and pasted it back into OpenAI image creator, exactly verbatim, and this is what it created. So AI is kind of something we're leaning towards, and if we can put in some guardrails, we could probably do some pretty generic reporting automatically from these systems versus programming it. If you have any questions, I don't have much time, you can put them in the chat window and I can answer them live. All right. Okay, Glenn had a comment there. Good. Yeah, you have to read through that. So yeah, if you have any questions about the specs, reach out to Glenn Barker. He's the director of MMCD. We don't currently offer that through the product. The organizations in BC are actually using Builterra for MMCD projects. We don't have anybody. We're big in Ontario and City of Winnipeg. The engineers who use it in Ontario, like WSP, probably ACOM, uh, um, I'd like to say Stantec, but they're not using it at West there. They are using it for their own projects. So like a WSP Canada is across Canada with Builterra. So they'll use it for their own purposes, but they're not using it for MMCD. We've got Associated using it here in Ontario, but not in BC. So there's lots of similar companies, but they run independently. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so Ontario, it's very popular. I can get back with a client list if you're interested. All right. If you have any other questions, you can send an email to myself or um, Andrew, who's helping to facilitate this, and we can get back to you one-on-one. And maybe if you want a one-on-one demo, something specific to your organization, we can do that. Thanks, Andrew. Yeah. Okay, well, if we don't have any other questions, then maybe we'll end it here. And really thank you guys for showing up, and look forward to working with you if you want to give Builterra a try.